have today. Again, we wanted to recognize the great work, the great accomplishment of the Grandview University Vikings. And I have being an alumnus, I did go to school there. I did not finish, but I worked full time, did night school. So Grandview gave me my start in college education, and I'm glad that you guys are all taking part of it. But I want to read this certificate of special recognition presented to the 2024 NAIA champions, Grandview University football team. The City of Des Moines issues this certificate of special recognition to the Grandview University football team. On December 21st, 2024, the Grandview University football team clinched the National Football Championship, securing the second national title in program history. This championship came on the heels of a perfect season in which they defeated the last three national champions in a single season. The City of Des Moines recognizes the outstanding accomplishments of the players and staff and the impact their championship win has on Grandview University and the community. We extend our congratulations for a fantastic season and eagerly await to see the team's continued success under the leadership of new head coach E.J. Peterson, presented this 27th day of January, 2025. So I wanted to give this, whoever would like to come up. Congratulations. Do we have a picture? Good. Thank you. Again, thank you all for coming down. Thank you for the great season. And, I know that everybody was excited about what the future will bring. And how many are seniors? So you got a lot of people coming back. Good thing for you, huh? Anyway, great to have you in Des Moines. Remember, when you're looking for some place to go after you graduate, you want to stay in Des Moines. So always recruiting. Okay. Okay, I think if you guys can all crowd in here behind me and the council, everybody, and if you guys, somebody, because I can't.
These are some big boys.
We're going to have to really crowd it.
Yeah, Corinna called me at like 1. She's like, are we all going to fit?
We're doing good. Good.
So scoot in.
We can also get a live too. Grab, get home. So everybody just pose for a couple seconds.
We're good. All right. Somebody grab a chair.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you. Everywhere we go. We're good. We're good. Head up.
All right, six left. Thanks, guys. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have a good off season. Lift some weights. Have a good winter. Enjoy your time off. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations.
Sean, did you find me one?
Congratulations. Yeah. Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job, guys. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Really impressive. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
I hope you got out of the class. Congratulations. Congratulations. Good to see you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Oh,
Whoa.
There you go. There you go. There. Thank you.
Congratulations. See you guys. Congratulations. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hopefully
Good
get
job.
tonight. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Really impressive.
Thank you.
Let's fix that.
Yes.
thank you
Good to
very
see you,
much.
man.
It's
Nice
good
to meet
you.
you.
I let that one go.
We'll have, if you guys want to come on up, I don't know. I think it's working now. So you're the representative? Okay. Okay, we have a proclamation to read, and I will start with, whereas during Black History Month, we recognize and celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development. And whereas Black History Month grew out of the establishment in 1926 of Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And whereas in 1976, as part of the nation's bicentennial, Black History Week was expanded and became established as Black History Month and is now celebrated all over North America. And whereas the first African Americans to arrive in Des Moines came in 1843, by 1880, 672 African American people resided in Polk County and mostly lived in Des Moines. And Black residents began to form their own institutions, organizing 2 Black churches before 1870, as well as Burns Methodist Church, established in 1866, used as a social center and school until Black residents could attend public schools in the 1870s. And whereas, while the observance of Black History Month calls our country's attention to the continued need to dismantle systemic racism and to build a society that lives up to democratic ideals. And whereas the city of Des Moines continues to work towards becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their potential and realized contributions to our community, the state, the country, and the world. And whereas the city of Des Moines is proud to honor the history and contributions of African Americans in our community throughout our state and nation. Now, therefore, in recognition of African Americans past and present in our community, I, Connie Bozen, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Des Moines, do hereby proclaim February 2025 as Black History Month and encourage all residents to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture and continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous for all. So if you'd like to introduce yourself. If you
Thank you. Excuse me. Okay. Hi, my name is Bradley Gross, and I'm a member of the Youth Advisory Board of Des Moines. I would like to thank Mayor Bozeman and the City Council for this proclamation. It means a lot to me, as well as the youth in my community. And as a member of the Youth Advisory Board, we strive to have diverse groups of youth from all different types of backgrounds, such as schools, gender, race, to create a change. And the proclamation is one of the many things that inspires us to create change and recognize our differences. So yes, thank you again.
When we have young people like this, we are in good hands. I'd like to call to order the Municipal Housing Agency Governing Board meeting for January 27th, 2025. The first item is a roll call.
Bozen,
Here.
Simonson, Voss,
Here.
Coleman, Westergaard, Mandelbaum, Gatto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
The next item is number 2, approving agenda as presented and or as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. Next item is 3, is awarding contract for replacement of fan coil units for Oak Park Plaza, 3400 8th Street, and Highland Park Plaza, 3717 6th Avenue to Excel Mechanical Company Incorporated. It's a board communication number 25-037.
Move.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn, Your Honor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned. We'll reconvene in about 1 minute. I'd like to call to order the January 27th, 2025 Des Moines City Council meeting. Please take the roll.
Boson,
Here.
Simonson,
Here.
Voss,
Here.
Coleman,
Here.
Westergaard. Here. Mandelbaum. Here. Gatto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Item number 2 is approving the agenda as presented and/or as amended, and we have these changes. 4C has been withdrawn, inspections incomplete. 4M withdrawn, inspections incomplete. 17I added, communication from Cindy Fantard advising of a resignation from the Parks and Recreation Board, seat 1, effective immediately. Mayor Bozen is sponsoring it. 17IA added, recommendation from Mayor Bozen to appoint Aaron Lowe to Parks and Recreation Board, seat 1, for a term expiring June 30th, 2028. 2 regular items, 50B was added, final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by applicant requires 6 votes. And 56 is the updated speakers list.
Move approval.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. The next item is approving the consent agenda. Those are items 3 through 4. And these are routine items and will be enacted by one roll call vote without separate discussions unless pursuant to council rules. Council requests an item to be removed to be considered separately. And we have number 5 that Voss votes no.
I'll move items 3 through 44 on the consent.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. Next item is number 45, on conveyance of excess city property located west of 2720 Logan Avenue to Isidro Cuevas Garcia, $1,100. Germane comments from the general public, 2 minutes per person to speak and 10 minutes maximum. Is anyone wishing to speak to that item? Seeing no one, is there any discussion?
I'll move item 45.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Item 46 is on conveyance of vacated alley right-of-way located west of 805 Southeast 11th Street to YVL Properties LLC for $50. Anyone wishing to speak to this?
See none, I'll move item 46.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. Item 47, non-conveyance of excess city property located at 3770 and 3790 Hubble Avenue to Casey O'Sheen Smith for $2,000. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this?
I'll move item 47.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. Item 48, on vacation of a portion of Mulberry Street right-of-way adjoining 204 12th Street and conveyance of a permanent easement for building encroachment to Cordoba Holdings DSM LLC for $1,560. A is first consideration of ordinance above. B is final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by Shannon Lerda, manager Cordova Holdings DSM LLC, requires 6 votes. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this?
Seeing none, I'll move item 48, 48A, and 48B.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. Number 49, on vacation of air rights over a portion of Carpenter Avenue right-of-way adjoining 1900 Carpenter Avenue and conveyance of a permanent easement for airspace above city-owned property to Polk County. A is first consideration of the ordinance above. Anyone wishing to speak to that? If not,
Seeing none, I'll move. Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
You want to do the second,
You wanna
third?
do-
49A.
No,
Yeah, yes, according to Rule
42A.
42A,
So
I
we
would
need-
move the third and final reading.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Second and third reading, correct? Is that what you
Second and
said?
third
Yeah.
meeting,
Yep.
reading.
Please vote.
Still catching on.
7 yes.
New guy down there.
Number 50 is a request from RTB Renovations LLC, Rodriguez Cazares, officer, to amend the Plan DSM, Creating Our Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan to revise the future land use classification for property located at 2625 Cottage Grove Avenue from low medium density residential to high density residential, and to rezone from N5 neighborhood district to limited N5-4 neighborhood district to allow reuse of the existing structure for multiple household residential use with up to 4 dwelling units. A is first consideration of ordinance above. B is the final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by applicant requires 6 votes. First is the parties in interest of the applicant for rezoning and those within 250 feet of the property to be rezoned. They will be given 5 minutes to speak. Second is germane comments from the general public, 2 minutes per person to speak, 20 minutes maximum. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this?
You can say something if you want.
Parties of, are you a party of interest?
I am.
Okay.
I'm Nicole Cazares. Brad is my husband. We own RTB Renovations. I believe we're supposed to say our address, 3814 Southwest 28th Place, and the property is at 2625 Cottage Grove. We have extensively renovated this building. Everything from the exterior, brand new siding, windows, fixed up the foundation, interior, brand new flooring, cabinets, lighting. We've really done a lot to the property. So looking forward to being able to get permission and then rent it out. We have full backing from the neighborhood association. And when we had our meeting, we didn't have anybody who showed up to voice opposition. Additionally, 70% of the folks on the neighborhood meeting were LLCs. So it's not uncommon on Cottage Grove to have rental property. So appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Seeing nobody else, I'd just like to make a quick comment. I've been through the property. This is a 6 or 7-plex being reduced to 4-plex. It's going to be a great a cleanup of a project that the neighborhood sorely deserves. This morning, the council spent time at a workshop with some of our affordable housing and housing investment partners, nonprofits in town, and the message to me was, we have so much we can do for affordable housing by rebuilding our existing stock. And we have a whole bunch of projects on the agenda tonight that are good, that are requiring a significant amount of government aid, federal money, state aid, a little bit of city aid. These two have busted their tail to make a project good, and it's going to be a very affordable project in one of our neighborhoods. So I wanted to thank the Drake Neighborhood Association who carefully looked at it. I'm really excited about this project. It really cleans up a dilapidated structure in the city. So congratulations and thanks. I'll move it.
Second.
I'll move 50A and B.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Thank you for the renovation.
Thank you.
Next item is 51, on request from Faithful Moments LLC, Adam Searan, officer, to amend the Plan DSM, Creating Our Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan to revise the future land use classification for property located at 5702 Grand Avenue from low-density residential to low-medium-density residential, and to rezone from N3C Neighborhood District to NX2 Neighborhood Mixed District to allow the redevelopment of the property for row home buildings. Choose one alternate below. A is to deny, or B, continue the public hearing until February 10th, 2025, and direct the city manager and the legal department to prepare the necessary legislation to approve the requested rezoning. Approval requires 6 votes due to Plan and Zoning Commission recommending denial and due to opposition of greater than 20% of relevant property owners. First, we will have the parties in interest, that is the applicant for the rezoning, and those within 250 feet of the property. So we will start with that. So the first is the applicant for rezoning. And then we will have the people that live within 250 feet of the property. Yeah, first of all, how many are here where they're within 250 feet?
Is there anybody out in the hallway?
Is there anyone out in the hallway?
Is somebody there to tell you?
Yeah, there's somebody right there.
Is there anybody out in the hallway within 200 feet?
Okay. So if the people within 250 feet want to maybe line up to the side, and we're asking too that if you have different comments, that's great, so that we have different viewpoints.
Got a few within 250 feet. Okay.
They may not have heard because they were in the hallway.
Right, that's fine. We can work on, we've got enough people, so we'll be good. So if you want to go ahead.
Mayor, members of the council, thanks for having me. I'm Adam Searin at 3315 Waco Court. I'm not going to go into a lot of the Plan DSM stuff tonight because I think we've all heard that plenty of times, and I think we all agree that we need more housing, and as the tax abatement is incentivizing these type of infill projects. So I'm not going to dig too deep into that. I wish I had staff here that gave an incredible report at P&Z, but we need this housing. I do want to touch on how the project started and the changes that I've made after listening to the neighborhood. Originally, it was 15 units, and after talking with staff and doing some redesign, we lowered the density down to 9 units, which is a low-medium density, and that's what was presented at P&Z. And after more consideration and thought, I've reduced the project down to 8 units. And if we have, do we have something to show?
Put it on that table.
Just put it over there. This is the back.
Put those things underneath.
You want to put it under?
Is there the binder over there?
I got the wrong paper.
There you go. Yeah, that's good.
So there's many reasons for the reduction, but one of these was, you know, this is the building facing south, and it would have been a long travel path to get to the front door. So we lowered it, took a unit off and increased the size to allow for these 4-foot corridors to have kind of a front/rear door to enter into these units. So we have 8 units. And another issue was parking. We're working on design for some parallel parking along the entrance, and we have also extended some paving, which takes significant amount of retaining wall to achieve this. Over to the west of the parking, we're able to extend that over and get parking stalls in there. We may be able to extend the drive a little to get 3 in there.
Mr. Searin, could you point what you're
Yeah.
driving?
So this area in here, that's going to take, you know, a retaining wall and a poured knee wall to obviously not allow vehicles to go over the edge. But this whole area on the west will be poured wall on the units. So we're able to bring that grade down. So those grade lines aren't actually accurate. Those grade lines are from the finished floor to property line, not necessarily to the grade. So we'll be able to bring the grade down on that side a little bit. And another concern was, you know, building into this hill and the retaining wall that's going to be on the southeast side. So this is a 3D grading model showing that south building kind of cut into that hill. Typically, when we dig a foundation, we're 8 to 10 feet in the ground. This rear building is 5.5 feet cut into that hillside. So that the maximum height of that retaining wall is at 5.5 feet, which is in here. And it tapers to the south down to nothing. This is a rendering of the south unit cut into that hillside, showing the privacy fence on the east property line. These have been shown around, and this is the front elevation of the 4-unit. Again, I want to note the grade on that west side would be less than what's shown. This is actually shown up to the top of floor. There's going to be exposed foundation on that west side, so that grade is going to be able to come down at least 3 feet on that west side. The storm detention pond is in the center front of this building. And all storm water will be captured from all the impervious surface with intakes, and it'll all be brought to this storm detention basin and then tied into the storm sewer, which is on the south side of Grand. So, engineering has said that this will be left with better stormwater management than what is currently there.
Okay. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
I think at this point, because I think it's to be referred back.
Are we able to ask?
What? Oh, okay. I mean,
You have questions for the staff?
if everybody wants to, does people want to ask questions? I mean, I'll open it up for a few more minutes.
I'd like to ask one question to the applicant.
Okay.
Mr. Sarin, one of the comments I've heard from neighbors are the trees and the mature trees. Could you describe, I think you had a document there that shows trees. Could you describe what would be
Okay,
removed
so same
and
question.
what would be maintained?
Yes.
We're good.
So this is a diagram showing the existing oak trees. It's a little difficult to see on this one. I don't know if
You
this
can
one.
point to them?
Yeah, and that one's better. So the red trees are mature oak trees that will be getting removed. The light green, if you can look, not the middle green, but the really light green in here and over here, and we have another one up here, are the trees we're able to save. So we've got 11 total oak trees that have been identified on site, and we're removing 5 and keeping 6. And this is an arborist report identifying the 11 trees and showing that 3 of the trees we're removing have extensive tip dieback, likely related to root failure. These 3 trees are nearing the end of their lifespan. So we're essentially removing 2 out of the 11 healthy oak trees on site.
Did you have another question, Mr. Mandelbaum?
The other thing I was going to ask about was we have a tree mitigation policy. Can you talk about, and I think the document you had it on there, how many trees are you required to plant as part of our mitigation policy?
Yes, thanks, Josh. So based upon the trees we are removing, there's a tree mitigation policy on the caliper of tree that you remove, the type of tree, I believe, and we are, the tree mitigation, we are required to plant 39 trees in replace of what we're removing. And, we've had discussion on the caliper tree, and if I can just talk to this, and I've heard this from multiple sources, we talk about the size of trees, and there were studies done where you plant a whip, and you plant a 3-inch, and you plant a 6-inch, and over a 7-8 year period, the whip outgrows the mature tree because you're shocking this mature tree that we're planting on site, whereas the little baby tree gets to feel its surroundings and outperforms over time. Now, that doesn't do much for the first few years. It doesn't have that growth the first few years because we have smaller trees. But the larger trees, have shown not to outperform the smaller replacement trees that we're required to plant 2 inches or greater.
Any other questions?
Did you say 39 trees, Adam?
39 trees, yes.
And you're removing only 5?
No, we're removing 5 mature oaks.
Okay.
And so we'll have, I don't have the oaks are really what I've focused on. I think there's some other stuff in there that we're removing, but I mean, I shouldn't discriminate against the other trees, but the big boys is what I'm referring to. But
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Parties of interest, if you could please state your name and address, since we need to know that you're in that neighborhood. They have 5 minutes each, I believe. Right.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Glazebrook. I live at 319 58th Street. I'm just here to quickly represent the 650 signatures from our petition, as well as the unanimous neighborhood opposition to this project, specifically those who could not be here tonight. As you know, we already gained support from the zoning board, and we are now putting our trust in city council members as our elected officials to not discount our voices and to make our decision not only based on your commitment to rezoning Des Moines, but your commitment to us as people who already live here, pay taxes here, and have invested in Des Moines for decades. Thank you for listening and considering the thoughts of those who follow me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sharon Cooley. I live at 5715 Grand Avenue. I've lived there for 20 years. So I live right across the street from this property. I'm within the 250-foot perimeter, and I've been asked to cover 2 topics for you guys. The first I've been asked to talk about is the real effect of this sort of development. A recent study by the Urban Institute entitled The Impact of Zoning on Housing Supply and Prices, which was published in 2023, examined how changes in zoning density impacted rents and housing prices in over 1,000 cities from 2000 to 2019. They found that housing supply increased by only 1% in the cities that permitted more dense housing, and that all of these new units were in the upper price ranges. They could not find any increase in the availability of low-income housing. Des Moines currently has about 90,000 households. A 1% increase is 900 households. We are debating adding 8 extremely high-priced units to a neighborhood that receives 0 benefit from them, instead of directing that investment to a neighborhood where substantially more units could be added and help create benefits and community both. The second important topic is that of zoning. Mr. Searon is asking for this to be changed in zoning from NC3 to NX2. N3C is intended to preserve the scale and character of residential neighborhoods developed predominantly in the cottage or worker style. NX2 is intended for a mix of single household houses with appropriately scaled and detailed multiple household building types in the same neighborhood. Zoning Code Section 135-5.4.3.b.2 for large developments should be applied here so that the development is considered in the larger context of the neighborhood. It says that more intense buildings and uses located on blocks with less intense buildings and uses shall be located on block ends. The goal of that article is in connection and walkability. If it applies to larger developments, it should apply to larger scale developments within smaller scale neighborhoods. This development will bisect a residential block. This request also violates Code Section 18B.1.1.7 regarding community character. Planning, zoning, development, and resource management should promote activities and development that are consistent with the character and architectural style of the community and should respond to local values regarding the physical character of the community. We are standing here before you as the community, a unified group of neighbors to say this bill does not meet the character of our neighborhood. And I know you're defining character as what material goes on the facade and what sort of roofing material you use. But I would argue that the character in terms of real estate is also a feeling. You know it when you see it. And who better to define the character of a neighborhood than the people who live it every day? When I first saw this rendering last night, I did not see my neighborhood. It does not have the character or the feel of our neighborhood. It is not a building nestled among mature trees and other homes. On a sloping hillside, it is an elephant dropped on top of a thimble in a deforested and strangely flat land. This build does not reflect our local values. We choose to live here because of the old houses that present puzzles to us on a frequent basis. We were drawn here because of the tree canopy. We value being stewards of those trees. These are our local values. Others will speak to the fact that there are numerous similar developments that sit on the market unsold for extensive periods of time. If you allow this zoning change to occur, likely that will be the fate of these units as well. Or, as I fear, since NX2 zoning allows for short-term rentals, this development will mean you have dropped the equivalent of a hotel in our neighborhood. In closing, I just want to make one more point. This is how you guys can all be our voices. You are elected to represent the taxpayers and the citizens of this city. Please respect Plan DSM, our existing zoning codes, our natural resources, and our neighborhoods. There is a right way to do development and a wrong way. If the council gets this vote wrong, there is no undoing it. I urge each of you to vote no. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Hawkinson. I live at 317 58th Street. I've been at the property since 1985. Just want to mention, Mayor Bozen, you walked up my driveway looking for my vote, and you've seen the yard. You know what the property's like. You know how steep that driveway is coming up, right? It's a hike. And then it gets steeper in my backyard. You mentioned how beautiful the backyard was when you were there visiting with my wife and I. My problem with this bill is, first of all, I want to say that everyone has a right to their own land, to benefit, to build, do whatever they want, as long as they're within the zoning parameters, and they're not affecting others to the detriment of their property. This bill does nothing to do a positive to anybody around them. In fact, it does the exact opposite. The people to the west, these very beautiful drawings that Bishop Engineering did for Adam are gorgeous. But the problem is, if you look at the west facade on that side, or the west hill, you can't even see the tops of the houses that sit right there. And I can tell you, because I know for a fact, because I've dealt with it for so many years, the water just cascades down that hill. And no retention pond or detention pond in the front is going to stop that. In fact, if anything, it's going to make it worse. He's trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It doesn't fit. If he was doing a fourplex, if he's doing an apartment building, he's doing 1, 2, maybe even 3 single-family homes, different story. You know, again, it's his property. As long as he's not doing it to the detriment of the neighbors. This does. If anybody walked the property, if anybody's come out there with us, I wish you would have. Councilman Mandelbaum did come out and take a look and listen to us. And I don't know if any of you others have walked the driveway or the property. You'd see what I was talking about. This isn't, you know, first of all, this is the third rendition. The first rendition had, you know, a large, high retaining wall with a 6-foot privacy fence on it because he was going to have to dig and scrape to try to get it flat. He builds flat. And there's no way in this can be. If he was stepping things down, that'd be a little different story. But he's not. He has to build flat to get what he wants in there. It just doesn't fit. It's that easy. Not to mention the fact that there's a house that's there, the Denman house. It's been there since 1905. It actually has good bones. I've been in the house. I grew up in the neighborhood at 541 56. I used to play in those backyards. I'm 76 years old, so I've been around it a bit. I remember Omar Bakery. I remember when Grand ended really at 59th and Ingersoll, Pete's gas station. And I'm telling you right now, this is a neighborhood that has, she mentioned character. It has character. There's a reason they were there for so long. Go and ask people that live in the neighborhood how long they've lived there. It's not because of the schools. It's because of the character of the neighborhood. It's because that's what it is. And if you make an exception. If you start spot zoning, it's not going to affect our neighborhood. It's going to start affecting neighborhoods all through Des Moines. And it's going to do the exact opposite of what Plan Des Moines is trying to do. And that is to build the city up. You're just going to, why not go live in West Des Moines? Why not go live in Waukee? You know, it's the same thing. We don't need that. What we need to do is retain our character. Granted, we do need more housing. Plan Des Moines, I think, is an excellent plan. You know, if you look back when they redid the zoning in 2019, at that point, why didn't they say the Grand Corridor should be changed for zoning for more mid-density? It wasn't. Our area was not changed. Why? Because they studied it and realized it was not a fit. So why we're even here, I don't know. I'll tell you why we're here. The previous owner decided he had damage there. It was a divorce. It was nasty. The house sat for a long time. He finally got it. He wanted to see if he could fix it up and get it sold. He called Premier. He was one of the builders. He called out. He came out. And instead of getting him an estimate of what it would cost to repair, he said, hey, I'll take it off your hands. Because he knew what he wanted to do with it. I know, I don't want to get, you know, it's predatory. You know what he does? You know, he saw an opportunity. And I'm not denying somebody an income or to make money, but the track record's there. I mean, he's Fluor Drive. He hasn't even broken ground. It's been over 2 years. I mean, I feel so sorry for those people. What happened to that neighborhood? He has some good things that have happened. Elevate, you know, at that point he went in and that fit. That fits the plan. That's exactly the kind of neighborhood it is. This doesn't. We're trying to put something in that shouldn't be there. And once it goes in, it's, you know, what's to stop me from putting an apartment building or putting, townhomes in my backyard? Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is McBee McManus. I live at 333 58th Street. I'll try to keep my comments brief tonight. I just want to say that this neighborhood has been zoned single-family residential for as long as the city of Des Moines has had a zoning ordinance. Furthermore, the city has expended a significant amount of time, effort, and taxpayer money to create plans to guide our growth and development in this city. The proposed use violates several plans that have been created, adopted, and implemented here in Des Moines. Plan DSM adopted the Waterbury Neighborhood Strategic Plan's goals of preserving older period homes and the mature tree canopy. Further, Plan DSM was meant to, quote, ensure new zoning and land use regulations promote development and redevelopment that is compatible with the neighborhood character and reduce negative impacts between incompatible uses. The city's recent zoning ordinance was a complete overhaul to align codes with the goals outlined in Plan DSM and others, including densification along our corridors. And still, this area of Grand Avenue was not identified for rezoning. These codes and plans were adopted for specific reasons and with multiple stakeholders' inputs over many years. Violating them indicates that the city does not stand behind what it produces, and it leads to confusion, controversy, and strife. Carving out this one parcel for spot zoning does not serve the city's goals. It is in direct opposition to the history of zoning in the area, and it sets a dangerous precedent for other single-family neighborhoods. The single-family zoning designation in place today has created one of the strongest, most stable neighborhoods in the city, and I urge you to deny the change. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Heather Cole. I own 5620 Grand Avenue. My property is east of 5702. Another better way to describe my property is from my house, my property can overlook 5702 from Grand Avenue all the way up to the street, or all the way up to the house. So I have a clear direct view from that hill. So I see the hill, I see their house, I see the streets going down below. I'm not going to speak to grading, drainage, all trees. I can't speak to that because I don't know. All I know is my house. My parents have owned the house for nearly 40 years. I decided to keep the home versus selling it because I love the neighborhood. Now, I'm not saying change isn't a bad thing. I'm just saying that if someone wanted to remodel that home, put an extension on, or tear it down and build something like there across the street, I frankly probably wouldn't even care. If they wanted to put a pool in the front yard or back, I wouldn't care. I am simply saying no to 8 or 12 townhomes or however many townhomes he decides to change it to. I can't keep track of all the plans he has because they change weekly. I'm just saying no to the current design of 8 townhomes. Right now, these townhomes look like they're going to be taller than my house. So when I go out to my patio deck, I'm going to see nothing but siding. The noise is going to be an issue with multiple cars, furnaces, air conditioners. Just the noise is going to be obscene, especially with the garbage truck that's going to have to go into this property. Another issue I see is the traffic. I learned how to drive on Grand Avenue. These people have also learned to drive on Grand Avenue. Grand Avenue is a disaster when it comes to driving in any condition. I have personally gotten into 2 accidents pulling out of my driveway. With no traffic study, I have to be curious on how many more accidents are going to occur. I have children. This driveway has now flipped to be right borderline my property. I mean, I wonder how many children are going to get hit with 20 plus cars driving in and out of it. The trees, I can't speak anything on that. There is one tree that I still have not been told whether it's going to stay or be torn down. That tree provides a lot of use to my house. When that sun rises and sets in the summer, without that tree, my house is going to be a royal sauna. It shades my living room and the sun porch. So that tree needs to be where it is. But I have a feeling that Mr. Searon is going to either tear it down or he's going to grade right next to it, and the roots will just kill the tree in general. I mean, that's really all I can say is, you know, planning for my future, my kids' future, this property is all I really have to give them. Like many people, these homes are what they plan to leave their children. If these townhomes go up, my value is just going to tank. I will not be able to sell it for anywhere near of what the value of what it is. So that means I'm not going to be able to give my kids what they need and help them provide for their futures. So please just take that into consideration when you do that. The values of our homes. I mean, if townhomes are not selling, but yet the house on the other side of me sold less than 30 days, you got to kind of see the difference. And Mr. Searon has flat out told us in an October meeting, if they don't sell, he will rent them out. So that means they're going to be vacant homes. I'm sorry, no one in my generation would want to pay $2,500 a month in rent when they can own a home. And if I lived in a townhome, I would be asked to move because my kids would be so loud that they wouldn't want to be there. So I hope you guys consider that before when you vote, and just vote no.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Audrey Parham. I live at 325 58th Street, just south of this property. So I'm here to kind of touch on the importance of strong neighborhoods, which I don't even need to say it. You can see how strong our neighborhood is. We all came together for this. We've been doing it for months now, and we are so tired of it, honestly. We're glad this should be the last time, but our neighborhood did come together to get this done, to fight it as best we can. So we're part of Westwood, but this house is also partly on Waterbury side. So, and Waterbury and Westwood neighborhoods are aspirational for our city. The residents trust the city to protect the energy and investment they put into their properties and neighborhoods to make them some of the best in Des Moines for over 100 years now. Our metro is growing quickly, but our city is slowly shrinking. As a city, our energy should be directed towards improving areas that need improvement and to reverse the shrinking trend and work to preserve the integrity and heritage of those aspects of our city that are already strong and from the bedrock of our city. I believe in one of your economic plans, you rated Waterbury and Westwood as kind of the #1 neighborhoods that need no assistance. They don't need anything done to them. They are like green all across the map. So, again, they form the bedrock of this city. We're very strong, as you can see. Waterbury is an established neighborhood. that benefits from mature tree canopy overhead. The tree canopy, along with the rolling hills, provides a picturesque setting that sets Waterbury apart from suburban neighborhoods. The rolling hills. So what he wants to do is essentially build up and make an entirely flat, level land. Josh, you saw the property earlier. You know that nothing around this neighborhood is flat. So it would just look incredibly out of place. And honestly, it's such a waste of resources and everything that goes into leveling that I just can't imagine why you would do it. But again, many Waterbury residents cited the trees, natural landscape as our primary reason for locating into the Waterbury and Westwood neighborhoods. Ask anybody in this room, the main reason they live here is because of what it looks like, because of what our neighborhood is. Our backyard, the south side of this property, is just big open green space. That's where we all come together. That's where Josh met with our neighbors. I could see it from my back window. We go out there for fires. We watch the kids play. It's a big open space where we all gather together. And it's not flat. It's not flat at all, and it shouldn't be. And just to touch on the sustainability aspect, so Des Moines prides itself on its sustainability initiatives. You guys emphasize this in the plan DSM, talking about sustainability, keeping the trees, keeping the neighborhoods, and the character. The most sustainable building is the one that is never built. Adding 8 homes to replace 1 home can never offset the environmental impact. I don't know if it's 8 homes now or 9 or 12. He has changed his plan a few times now. So I'm not sure exactly how many it is, but I do know that 0 is better than any number. And then as far as demolition, the predominant site clearing of mature forest, importing massive amounts of dirt to fill and make a site with 20 feet of elevation change to be flat are not sustainable acts. So if you really pride yourself in your sustainability that's in the Plan Des Moines, I'm urging you to put preservation of this irreplaceable natural asset over the short-term economic gains. Thank you.
You.
Hello, I'm Mallory Huff. I live at 340 58th Street. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I'm new to the neighborhood. I actually went through a difficult time a couple years ago, and once I finally picked myself up and dusted myself off, I went and tried to find a home. And my requirements were that it was an older home, because I like to fix things up and restore integrity in old homes, but also I wanted to find a place that was safe. I'm a single, young enough female that I wanted to make sure I was in an area that I knew my neighbors, I knew who was around my home, and I felt safe living there. So obviously I found this home. I love it. It's amazing. The neighbors have been incredible, as you've seen through the conversations that have, or the discussions that have happened today. My biggest concern right now is traffic and safety, which I know a few people have touched on. 58th Street and 56th Street are both pretty tight. So when there's cars parked, which there always are along the street, it's room for 1 car to get through, which is fun to watch, I guess, but it's not so fun for people passing by. I'm a little concerned that the people in the row homes, and I know Adam said he's trying to address some of the parking issues. If they have company over, they could have people be parking on 58th and 56th Street, walking to those homes. I don't know those people. I don't know those cars. I won't know, from a safety perspective, who's in front of my home on a regular basis. Additionally, the traffic, I know it wasn't high capacity enough to be assessed for traffic from the zoning commission, but it is busy on Grand, and it is kind of an odd spot. I mean, on 58th, we're 1 block from the 56th Street light, which is on a hill. It also curves around once you get past the light, so it's really hard to see oncoming traffic. And then with ice and snow and weather as we get in Iowa, it does get kind of scary, and there is oncoming traffic during busy hours. With 18 cars coming and going from what's traditionally been a single-family home, that's concerning. And not just that, but walking. I walk my dog on Grand all the time. I see kids walking to school at Merrill Middle School and the elementary school around the corner. I see other people walking their dogs. I think there should be some consideration for that as well, that we're going to have a huge increase. Going from 2 cars to potentially 18 cars coming and going from that single spot. It's concerning, especially right by that light and right when you're trying to enter and exit out of 58th Street. So those are my biggest concerns. I agree with the other concerns that have been brought up today, but just single, youngish female living alone. I'd like traffic and safety to be considered with the influx of new inhabitants. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other parties of interest? Is there anyone, any other parties of interest? If not, we'll go to the germane comments from the general public, 2 minutes per person. How many people are here to speak? Okay. Is there, we'll check out in the hallway if there's anyone that's still outside that would like to speak.
Get them to line up.
Yeah, I think if people want to start lining up. We'll give it a couple minutes to see if anyone's out in the hallway.
Yes. There we go.
I just want to note, I know some people are on the list for public speaking, so is this, you want to speak at this one? Okay, that's what I assumed. So if you want to go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Holly Krager. I live at 9 Southwest 56th Street, and I've been a West Side neighborhood realtor for 19 years. And as a realtor, I can tell you that this project will negatively affect at least the properties in direct proximity to this project. Zillow says that the average price of a Westwood home is $359,000. Waterbury is a little more, $420,000. Property values adjacent to the multifamily housing on Ingersoll are 32% lower than other Waterbury or Westwood homes. The project at 49th and Ingersoll, if you're familiar with this, are very similar to Mr. Searon's project, except that they are on a flat lot. They're over $600,000. They have been on the market for 400 plus days. 7 are active and 3 are sold. These 2-story townhomes built on a slab are hard to sell. These are not appealing to seniors. If Mr. Searon's project is priced as the Ingersoll project is priced at $380 a square foot, his price would end up to be $760,000. That is not an affordable amount in our neighborhood. And what if they don't sell? It's been mentioned that, Mr. Searon's project on Westover Boulevard has turned into rentals already. You couldn't sell them. I'm concerned about that. I would like you to consider 5702 Grand to be remodeled. Currently, the assessor has it valued at $420,000 with 2,805 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 2 bath, which is $152 per square foot. If somebody renovated it, our neighborhood can bring upwards of $250 a square foot, which would bring the price of that house to $700,000. Wouldn't that be a nice profit for Mr. Searon and increase our taxes for the city of Des Moines? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy Walsh McCrell. I live at 224 56th Street. And greetings, thanks, and thank you to Councilman Mandelbaum for meeting with us and seeing the site. As much as I appreciate the efforts that Mr. Searon has made to address the concerns of our neighbors, and honestly the multiple adjustments he's made, the issue remains that this is not suitable for this build. It's not zoned that way. It doesn't align with Plan DSM, and this is a plan that was paid for with tax dollars and that included community voices. The area is zoned single family, always has been, and what's being proposed is spot zoning, and that benefits no one. It doesn't even benefit the city for 9 years due to the abatement and the initial output in money. In reference to the new plans that he provided on January 26th, they show the destruction of all but 5 mature trees on the site, as he stated. But of those 5, 2 will likely die due to the grading activity that's going to occur under the canopy. These trees survived derecho and a tornado. The ones that he's saying are so injured, they've survived a lot, and we weren't so lucky on 56, but they've survived. The new planning that's being planned won't replace a canopy in my lifetime, or in your lifetime, or in your children's lifetime, or in your children's children's lifetime at that point. In addition, the new plans they require massive amounts of fill dirt to create this 12-foot hill that the north building would sit upon. The base is 12 feet above the natural grade and higher, likely higher than the roof lines of the houses on 58th Street. The slope of the hill west of the proposed building's been increased to a level that's not recommended. It's hard to maintain, and it's going to increase the speed and quantity of stormwater runoff. And that's all going to go straight down to 58th Street. In terms of parking, the two addition, I know he has stated that there would be parallel parking.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Amy, excuse me, Amy, were you on the list to speak out?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we'll take it.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Lori Wolf, and I have lived at 116 56th Street for the last 38 years. In 2010, architect Daniel Perella coined the term missing middle housing, transforming the national conversation about the need for more diverse housing choices at affordable prices in walkable neighborhoods. This type of housing is characterized by a range of multiple family or clustered housing types, usually 2 to 4 unit structures that are still compatible in scale and heights to the single-family homes located in transitional neighborhoods. The proposed building project does not fit the definition of missing middle housing as we see it. The current proposed plans are for more than 2 to 4 units and requires major excavation changes to the lot. Each of the buildings proposed by Mr. Searon are 4 times larger than the largest house in the neighborhood. Each of the proposed buildings are twice or 3 times the height of the homes in the immediate area. This neighborhood is not in transition. It is a stable neighborhood as noted in the 2019 DSM plan and is not in need of redevelopment. You will not find a single missing middle housing advocacy group that advocates for the cutting large multifamily developments into stable, vibrant, single-family neighborhoods. The area along Grand Avenue is not considered walkable neighborhood by the definition of missing middle housing, because residents have to cross 2 major 4-lane corridors, Grand Avenue and 63rd Street, to get to any shopping entities such as Fairway. Yes, Des Moines does need more middle housing options. However, this standalone lot is not compatible for middle housing. There are many corner lot properties on flat ground located 4 blocks away from this site in the same neighborhood that would be more compatible to the proposed plans. Thank you.
I'm not on the list.
If you're not on the list.
For the end.
The other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You asked
got
that.
it.
I said.
I'm going, which list? I didn't. Got confused there.
Madam Mayor, members of council, thank you. My name is Channing Swanson, 304 52nd Street, and I apologize for reading. This vote is precedent setting. Our neighborhood is not anti-development. Our argument is about adhering to adopted plans, keeping our strong neighborhoods strong, and helping our developing neighborhoods. In other words, it's about being strategic about where investment can do the most good. It's not a NIMBY issue, rather it's an issue for every neighborhood in Des Moines. The vote to approve the spot zoning today will say that anyone can go into any neighborhood, rip down any house, and build higher density housing, not because of where it can create benefit, but only where profit can be maximized. Approval will make irrelevant every neighborhood strategic plan and the entire zoning code in favor of spot zoning for individualized advantage and profit. Spot zoning has the capacity to eat away at our strongest neighborhoods by providing unjustified special treatment that benefits a particular owner while undermining the pre-existing rights and uses of adjacent property owners, of a land use plan, and of a public goal. There are no fewer than 3 significant plans adopted by this city that define land use and public good of Waterbury Westwood as single family. The city needs missing middle housing, and we already have identified areas for redevelopment. It needs to be a tool to bolster our many weaker, less stable neighborhoods where it can actually have an impact. Adding more multifamily to Waterbury and Westwood will only water down what makes these neighborhoods great. The zoning is on the side of this neighborhood. All plans have determined that single family is the best continued land use for Waterbury and Westwood. Why does the burden of proof fall on residents to fight for the integrity of our neighborhoods? To change the codes, the burden of proof of substantial benefit to the community should lie with the developer and their supporters that seek to spot zone any parcel in any neighborhood. As an architect in this city for the past 32 years, I can find no benefit to spot zoning this parcel, nor have I seen an ounce of evidence of any benefit to anyone except the developer. All I see is destruction of the characteristics of the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. My name is Dina Bennett, Ward 2. This is definitely not a property in my neighborhood, but I serve my neighborhood association. Many of you know me from that role, and so this issue caught my attention because of the news, and I just thought it was clearly important, and I wanted to speak about it. So I am not representing my neighborhood in this, and I want to make that clear. This is just me. As a resident myself, I fully recognize and understand the weight that we need to give to resident feedback. I appreciate you all really do listen to us, and I trust you'll make the right decision. Totally understand if you listen to the immediate neighbors' concerns on this, and I'm just simply here because I do want to encourage you to actually approve this project, though, because I think we have a shortage of housing, and I simply think we need more infill. I think projects like this are really what might make or break us as a city, and my concern is that if we make it difficult to build townhomes on Grand, then developers won't do infill projects in neighborhoods like mine and others. No neighborhood should be subject to dramatic change, and no neighborhood is exempt from change either. We shouldn't be afraid from change. We should embrace the evolution of our neighborhoods with different types of housing. We don't need to build as many apartment towers if we're allowing for backyard cottages, duplexes, townhomes, and other smaller projects to emerge gradually in every Des Moines neighborhood. Certainly, if there are legitimate safety issues with this project, then yes, please address those and listen to the neighbors, of course. I just hope as a city we can come together and do everything we can to build more housing of all kinds all over. All of our neighborhoods need to allow incremental growth if Des Moines is going to have enough housing and a solvent budget. Approve this project, but even if not, my hope is that we can all work together to encourage denser development across our city, whatever that might look like. Thank you so much for your time and for all that you do.
Thank you.
Can I have a visual here?
Yeah, you can just put it right. We might need to.
Oh, don't I need to show that here?
It's just the light.
Yeah. Is there a way to hang that up a bit? Well,
But you,
Bill Ludwig, architect and planner, 303 52nd Street in Des Moines. And a number of the people have asked me how we would handle these kinds of things as you come into a single-family area. So throughout all of metropolitan Des Moines, we've done this for over 50 years. I don't think I've ever had a case where we come into a single-family area and put a spot zone in there and say we're going to put 8 to 10 housing units in there as it adjoins it. This is one that happens to be up in Grimes. And what we do as we adjoin that single-family area is put a greenbelt park along the backside. Also on the housing side of it, we put a 2-car garage. We put 2 cars in front of that garage. We put extra parking, as you can see, and extra open space on that side as it adjoins a single-family. So in this particular case, it's up at Beaver Brook. We had 100% approval of the adjoining property owners. Now, there'd be every reason for them to fight this because we have apartments and townhomes and so on. But I think it's how you handle that. Well, in this case, he doesn't have 2 cars in front of his garage. He doesn't have adjoining parking, guest parking, and so it's going to be a parking problem. And I would guess they're going to be down on 58th Street, parking and walking up the hill and try to get that housing unit if you have a party or some people over. So it just doesn't make any sense to come right in the heart of a single-family area and put your multi-family housing. The other thing that I want to show, if I can, all right, that's the area, and right across the street is the Bill Kimberly house that is being built. And, you know, again, I think as he gets his building permit, if the city had said, you know, there's a chance there's going to be 8 to 10 townhomes across the street, he's probably going to say to himself, well, wait, I maybe ought to take another look at this thing. It's been a stable residential community for years and years and years. I was raised on Grand Avenue, and it just makes no sense.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jim Snyder. I live at 20 Southwest 58th Drive, the end of the street down there. My greater concern is that those of us in the neighborhood, and you heard Ms. Krager who is one of our local realtors, indicate that the property values for the adjoining properties are likely going to fall. With all due respect, that'll be applicable to everybody except the assessor. The assessor is going to come in and say, gee, the neighborhood has moved up. You've put these new houses in, they're worth $700,000 apiece, you've got 8 of them, so the property is worth X amount of dollars. And that increase is going to be borne by all of us in this neighborhood. All of us are going to see our assessments go up. We're going to pay the tax burden for the 9 years that this property is going to be tax exempt. And that is of a great concern to me. I think that this is a development, I understand the issues, but this is a development designed serially for profit. We've talked about missing housing. We haven't talked about missing $700,000 housing. That's, last I looked on Zillow, there's plenty of that available in Des Moines, plenty of this type of housing at that price point available in Des Moines. So my concern is forcing the residents of this area to effectively pay for this by the tax increase that will be a result of the assessor's increases. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Lori Hawkinson at 317 58th Street. Thank you for your time and the letters that we've sent, the phone calls to you. I am here tonight speaking on behalf of Stephen Camarona. He is the Westwood neighborhood president. He couldn't be here because he's got sick children at home, but he wanted to give a brief overview to the overwhelming opposition of this project in the Westwood Neighborhood Association. As Steve being the current president, he's overseen multiple local gatherings at their annual meeting, and one of those meetings being in November that I think a few of the city council members were there. We had a vote. 70 people voted against this project. We've also have an online petition that one of our neighbors already spoke to. We have 655 signatures against the rezoning. There are people more qualified to speak about the logistics and why this project should not be approved, but he cannot provide the pulse. The only thing he can provide is the pulse of the neighborhood. Our members are concerned about many parts of this project, including but not limited to the steep grade of the hill, the traffic on Grand, and the lack of parking. And the general consensus is that this is the wrong project for this piece of land. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to it? If not,
I lived in the neighborhood for 25 years. And had I still lived there, I would be in favor of this project. I'm going to move 51B.
Your Honor, I'll second it. And just that being said, and I heard and I appreciate everybody coming down. The south side where I represent, and I know Mr. Ludwig came down to my restaurant and visited me, and we talked a little bit about it, where I can drive you around and show you where this has made quite a good impact on that side of town. Elevate that he's built there has increased the value tremendously of that area, and so I'm happy to second it. I think it's a good project, and we'll just move forward.
Do you want to?
I have a procedural question.
That's what I was going to have Cody come to speak to the procedural issue of this, because this is a little different than what we've normally have on hearings. So if Cody wants to come up, because this is something that the vote is to send it back to staff.
Right, and that question I think is going to be, is there additional constraint?
The public.
Yeah, it's a continuance as well.
Right.
Madam Mayor, members of council, Cody Christensen, Director of Development Services. The motion here is for item B, which would be to continue this hearing and direct the city manager and staff and the city attorney to negotiate terms of conditions for the approval of the rezoning. Staff have recommended conditions that went before the Plan and Zoning Commission. Those are the conditions that staff would recommend. But those would be coming back for the next hearing for further consideration before anything is actually approved.
So it would either be that or deny, so.
But he
Is that
also
what
made
you-
changes that I believe aren't
Right.
part of that, where that'll also be included, where we're limited to 8, correct?
Correct. That is correct. We can do that. Just to identify what those conditions look like. The proposal, the request, the proposed conditions are to rezone, but limit the uses to what's allowed in N3C zoning, with the exception of, in this case, up to 8 units on that property. And then also have the design of the structures be in accordance with the code, as approved by the Planning and Urban Design Administrator.
Was there any other questions, Mike?
So
Mr. Simonson?
this motion is to make modifications to the zoning, and then when we come back in, what is the date?
So the hearing.
February 10th, we're going to have another hearing?
No, the hearing's still open. The hearing would continue, but to have the conditions and any changes or whatever and make sure it fits.
I second the motion that we have only 8, and I believe that is part of the motion, that we were limiting it to the 8 units that he changed his plan.
I'm not an architect or designer, but there were 2 elements I think that he spoke to in addition to the 8 that are new. One is additional guest parking or additional parking, and the desire to maximize that. There was also some buffer space and some green space that was in the drawings in the last couple of days that I would like him to be required to do as well.
So basically, everything
We
is
add
going
that
to go
part of
back
the motion
over
then?
to be. No, I think we're just moving it to go back.
But I think we need to be
That's
specific.
helpful. That's
Yeah, it's helpful
We need to be specific of the changes that we would like you to make to the plan.
That's helpful for staff
to-
as well as the
For
developer.
us to come on February 10th and be able to vote on it and know that we've got the plan and there's nothing that is going to jump up as a surprise to anybody that's here. It's the changes that he's made and talked about and is agreeable to. I would hope that those would be all part of it.
So that everybody knows what is going to be the final presentation, so.
Right.
Yep. Those
Councilman
will
Mandelbaum.
come back at the next meeting.
Okay.
Councilman Mandelbaum?
You might want to wrap up, but if you want to talk now, go ahead.
Nope.
The addition, and this is not a zoning, but a request that I would have, is that staff would be prepared to come back and talk in more detail about how the stormwater detention system meets our code and serves the neighborhood. That doesn't have to be in, I don't think that's a condition that anybody has to agree to, but I would like that education so that we know that our staff has looked really specifically about solving the water issues that exist today through this new development.
I mean, I appreciate what's been said, and I wanted to talk about this in context and share my thoughts on it. I know, zoning issues like this are among the hardest things, the most difficult things that come to council. We've had, in my time on council, a number of different zoning issues on Grand, one of which, we had a pretty similar conversation a few years back about a property just a couple blocks away it's now White Willow on Grand. We've had conversations, a number of conversations on properties on Grand. We had a high-rise development that when I hear neighbors talk about towering over, that project literally does tower over the next-door neighbors. And we've had a number of those projects, and they're always challenging, always difficult, and they always bring out, one of the things that I do really appreciate. It brings out how deeply our residents care about our community, how deeply they care about their neighborhood. That is very clear. And it's one of the things that's hard about these discussions because I know a number of you. I grew up in this neighborhood. I grew up literally 4 blocks straight north of this property on 57th Street. I went to Hannawalt. I've spent most of my life in and around this neighborhood and care about it deeply. And I know everyone here cares about it deeply. And I think the public process is an incredibly important piece of this. And I think we've already seen that because I was at that first neighborhood meeting in November, and I saw the plans at that time. And they're very different plans, and I think if we had the same set of plans in front of us today, we'd be having a very different conversation up here right now. Because those plans didn't meet the character of the neighborhood. And we're trying to squeeze 15 units onto this parcel. And I think we've seen a significant improvement going from the 15 to the 8, and have seen significant improvement from a design perspective. And I think that's because of the neighbors' voices and because of the public input in this process. I wanted to share a little bit more about how I think about this, because these zoning questions are fundamentally a conversation about housing in our community. And how do we address housing needs while balancing the values and the needs of the entire community? And I firmly believe, like some of the folks who spoke, that we do need more housing in our community. And what that means is housing of all types, at all price points, and in all parts of our community. We need that throughout our community. And we need to make sure that we have housing options so that folks, no matter where they're at in life, what stage, that they're able to find the housing that they want, that they need, and in all parts of our community. I want folks who live in Westwood and Waterbury to be able to find a home when they raise a family here, when they're ready at that next stage in life. And you know, one of the things that's really hit me in this conversation, so I was out there yesterday with a bunch of neighbors. And I called someone who I was maybe expecting to see. And I didn't realize that he'd moved out of the neighborhood. And I think Mallory, I think it's who you bought the house from. And I called him. I actually first met him. He and I worked together when he was an attorney at the Iowa Environmental Council. I work in the environmental space. And I was like, well, I haven't seen you. You haven't reached out. Why not? What are you thinking on this? And his response was, well, I moved out of the neighborhood. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that. Why? Where? And it turns out he's moved to West Des Moines. And it wasn't because he didn't want to keep living in the neighborhood. They were looking for a little more space, and they couldn't find a house in the neighborhood. Now, he fully admitted he would not have been interested in a townhome. He told me that. But he also told me that he supported the idea of the project because the folks who might have moved into that townhome might free up that house that him and his family were looking for. And that's part of why I believe we need more housing of all types and at all price points. When we're not building enough, we're not providing those options for folks in our community. And I particularly want to talk about this particular parcel and the precedent and what it means in this location. Because I do think it's important that we preserve the character of our neighborhoods and that we balance that with welcoming more folks into our neighborhoods as well. And I know folks have mentioned Plan DSM. One of the principles, and one of the things that I thought was one of the more important principles of Plan DSM, was that we try and build more density in the places where it belongs. And that principle was that we build more density on corridors. Now, they didn't rezone every corridor, but the goal was more density on the corridors. And that's part of how I evaluate it. It's part of why I think staff recommended approval in this particular instance. It was the staff recommendation to support this. I kind of view staff as the keepers of Plan DSM and look to staff for their recommendations on what is or is not consistent with Plan DSM. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to ask questions and push back if I disagree. But in this case, I look at where this is, and we are on a 4-lane corridor. 4 lanes. It's less than 2 blocks away from a DART stop. And if you sit on the sidewalk in front of this property, you can see the commercial parts of this corridor. And I know folks are talking about it's not walkable, but I think there are elements that are walkable, and the goal is to create a more walkable community. You know, when we add things like either or just down the street, that's the type of amenity that is a great amenity on a corridor and part of what builds a walkable community. And so I look at this particular spot, and folks have talked about the precedent. I'm actually concerned about the precedent in the other way, because these are the type of spots that I think are appropriate for more density. And when someone says that if we approve this, that means any parcel in any neighborhood and any house, I disagree with that, because this is on a major corridor. This is on a spot that is more appropriate for this type of change. And while I would support something on Grand Avenue, I wouldn't necessarily support the same change, and it would make absolutely no sense to rezone in a similar way if you're down 58. So I think that's a difference and an important consideration here. I also want to try and address the things that I've heard from the neighbors. So I've tried to understand the various concerns. I mentioned, I think, the changes that have been made, and I thought it was striking when Bill had the picture up of the house across the street and the design that Adam has. Both of these are going to be properties across the street, and they actually look pretty dang similar to me in terms of the massing and the character of the buildings. The difference is that one of these is going to be broken up into multiple units, single family, meant to be owner-occupied unit, but in terms of the design, I think they look pretty similar, and I think there's been a lot of work done, both from staff pushing and the developer listening to the feedback, to create a design that is consistent with the character of the neighborhood. There are a couple other pieces that I heard that I wanted to address. We heard some about traffic, and I specifically asked staff about traffic in this location. And a roadway of Grand Avenue size, actually where it gets to 5 lanes down by Grand and 63rd, has the capacity for 36,000 cars a day. In the 4-lane road, it has capacity for, in the neighborhood of 28,000 vehicle trips per day. The last count, the estimate traffic had, is that there were approximately during the peak hour, or based on peak hour traffic, approximately 12,000 cars over the course of the day traverse this section of Grand Avenue, the intersection of 56th and Grand. So that level of traffic is actually well under what we could have on a 3-lane road, a lane in each direction with a turn lane in the middle. That type of road can handle 18,000 cars. So we have significant capacity. I would argue one of the biggest safety issues. We did a Vision Zero study. One of the biggest safety issues is undivided 4-lane roads are the most dangerous by design. I think that's the biggest safety issue on this stretch of Grand, is that we have an overbuilt road, and we could design that road better for the neighborhood and better for the long-term plans of Des Moines. And I've been advocating that we look at that throughout the Grand Avenue corridor, not just for this section, and I hope we'll do that sooner rather than later. I also asked staff about stormwater. I've walked the property a couple different times, and the first time I noticed something about the property that I hadn't seen anywhere else. There's actually a storm intake. I thought it was on the property. It's actually on the neighbor directly to the west. The city has an easement for a storm intake that is actually in the yard. And so I asked asked Public Works, Patrick Bean, who does our stormwater, kind of in charge of our stormwater team. I asked him about that and what his thoughts were specifically about handling the stormwater. And his take was, when you have a property like this, there was very little done when it was built 100 years ago to address stormwater. The new requirements, because the developer will be required to meet our stormwater ordinance, and when we stick to that, his assessment was, in the email back to me, is that he thought stormwater would improve overall with the requirements that we were going to impose and compliance with our ordinance. So while there is an impact, compliance will actually, if done right, improve stormwater in this area. And then finally, I wanted to talk about the sustainability piece. And that's taken a couple different, I've heard a number of different things from neighbors. Part of what you guys love about the neighborhood and part of what I loved about growing up in the neighborhood were the trees, a lot of them being the old oak trees. And it's part of why I've been an advocate for our urban forest master plan, our tree mitigation plan. I'd prefer not to lose any trees if you could, but I also recognize that sometimes growth and development are at odds with that. And that's, we've taken steps to protect as many of the trees as we can. And part of what we do, when you plant a tree, it's not just for you, it's for the generations that come. The reason we enjoy these trees is someone had the forethought to plant them in the first place. And we're going to do that on this property and with our tree mitigation ordinance. So I'm ultimately comfortable supporting this. I know it's difficult. I know it's a challenge for the neighbors. I think this development, once it gets built, will be an asset to the neighborhood and will provide value. And I know this stage of it is a very hard part of the conversation. I've tried to listen as much as I could. and address the things that we're able to. And I wanted to explain to folks why I came to the decision I did, but I'm ultimately going to be supportive of this rezoning.
Does anyone else want to make a comment at this time? I think the revision definitely has made an impact on people's support by taking it to fewer units. And if there's no other discussion at this time, I would say we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Do we have a motion and a second?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. It's been a while. Do we have a roll call?
Well, we're waiting for Coleman and Mayor.
Oh, I don't have it on my screen.
Oh, your screen went black.
Yeah, so I would be,
All right, do you vote in favor?
yes.
7 yes.
I want to thank everybody for coming down. We will be having the hearings going forward, and as we said, it will be going back to make sure it meets all the standards. Item 52 is amending Chapter 135 of the Municipal Code relating to public hearing sites, plans, the review of plan zoning commission decisions.
Move approval, Your Honor. And I will waive the second and third reading, 42A.
Councilman Simonson seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Item 53, amending Chapter 42 of the Municipal Code relating to stormwater runoff control and grading operations. Council Communication Number 25-023. A is final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by Steve Neighbor, City Engineer, and Jonathan Gano, Public Works Director.
I'll move 53 and 53A, Your Honor.
Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. Item 54 is amending Chapter 42 of the Municipal Code relating to stormwater management standards for development and redevelopment for grading permits, site plans, and plat approvals. A is final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by Steve Neighbor, City Engineer, and Jonathan Gano, Public Works Director, requires 6 votes.
I'll move 54 and 54A, Your Honor.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 55 is amending Chapter 18 of the Municipal Code relating to interfering with animals. A is final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by Scott Sanders, City Manager, requires 6 votes.
I'll move 56A,
55.
55, excuse me, 55A.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Yeah.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Before we have our public speaking time, I just want to read a statement about the budget going forward. This morning, the city manager released an overview of his proposed budget reductions to balance our fiscal year 2026 budget. As most of you know, the city is dealing with a $17 million shortfall this year due to increased costs to provide services to residents and recent changes to the property tax formula made by the Iowa legislature. Des Moines is not the only city struggling to balance the budget while providing the services that our citizens deserve, with rebuilding aging infrastructure and developing the quality of life amenities that draw business and residents to our community. Property taxes have become a smaller portion of our revenues over the past few years. Our staff have worked hard to put together a fiscally responsible budget that is balanced and still provides the services we expect and want. Every department has been impacted in some measure by the cuts this year. Dealing with these types of cuts is never easy, and the council will be reviewing the proposed budget in greater detail when the budget books come out next week. This is the first time in 12 years the city has had to make significant cuts. We do not take any proposed cuts lightly, and any resulting cuts will come with significant research and review. To give the public an opportunity to have their requests answered and feedback heard, we've added 2 more opportunities for the public to engage with city leadership and discuss the proposed budget. Those budget information events will be held Tuesday, February 25th at the Polk County River Place building from 6 to 7:30, and Wednesday, February 26th at the Pioneer Columbus Center, again, 6 to 7:30. I want to thank our city manager, Scott Sanders, for bringing us his proposed budget, as this is the manager's duty. This budget cycle has come with many challenges, and you and your staff have worked tirelessly to minimize the impact of cuts to our staff, residents, community. In the meantime, you can view more budget information and submit your online feedback at dsm.city/budget. So with that, I will go ahead and read this statement. We provide speakers under the public speaking portion the opportunity to address the council for up to 3 minutes each for up to 20 speakers for a total of 1 hour agenda. Speakers will be called forward individually, and we ask everyone to please state their name and address or ward prior to providing comments. Please keep comments germane and avoid references to personalities or character attacks, as those types of comments do not contribute to the purpose for which this public forum exists. As a reminder to the council and the public, this public speaking time is not a time for the council to engage in discussion. Matters requiring attention will receive appropriate staff or council follow-up at a time after the meeting. And thank you for your support of Des Moines. And our first speaker is Douglas Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Doug Lewis. I live at 52 30th Street, Ward 3. My wife and I have lived and worked continuously in Des Moines for over 35 years. I'd requested to speak 2 weeks ago, but the speaker list was already full. I'm here today to speak regarding the action taken by the city manager regarding the sustainability department. All of the speakers at the January 14th meeting made strong points for why the city manager's decision to eliminate the sustainability department was a bad decision. These positions were budgeted to June 30th. I understand that you have to make cuts in the budget for this year, but there is a reason why we still want these people in this position. In addition, what was based on the last meeting, the hasty decision to eliminate them this month was made without council or public input, which I think is wrong. In fact, at the end of the meeting, the point was raised that around $240,000 in grant funding exists that could have supported the positions. Having people in those positions could have also leveraged up to $2 million of other funding. I think we'd all like to know if the city manager knew this and still made the decision. If he did, why was the decision really made? If he did not know, why was not more information gathered before the decision was made? As was also pointed out at the last meeting, as the city plans the budget for next year, the council will not have the benefit of the staff to determine how money and resources related could be applied to keep progress moving on the ADAPT plan. This is the plan that the council supported unanimously just a couple of years ago. I have a personal example of how the lack of planning and bad decisions of the city in the past have resulted in massive erosion of our own property due to groundwater runoff thousands of feet away from our property. That's also reduced the tree canopy in our neighborhood. The city comes through every few years, attempts to correct it, but the solutions haven't worked. I think if there were people that were really concerned about sustainability, that could help us. Complex problems like this mean that solutions are also complex and need years of implementation. The council needs to put resources to support the plan that is already in place. We all need to work together long-term to solve the city's environmental problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you. David Murren, Von Edwards.
Hello, my name is Dave Murren von Ebers, Ward 3. I'm owner of Bartender's Handshake on Ingersoll, and I'm also going to speak about the reinstatement of the Office of Sustainability, which I find very important. I was shocked and confused about how this process was made behind closed doors by an unelected official. So I went to the city's website to get a better understanding of how this works, and this is what City Manager Scott Sanders had to say. The engagement that we receive from Des Moines residents is important for developing a budget that serves our entire community. The feedback you provide directly shapes the recommended budget that I will give to the council each year. Nothing about the city manager making budget cuts and decisions behind closed doors. Well, there were more than 20 angry citizens last week, but 20 that spoke, and we're here again to give you our feedback. We demand that this city council reinstates the Office of Sustainability, number one, because the number one thing a city can offer its current and potential future citizens is a livable environment where they and their families can prosper. I've invested my entire life in Des Moines, but as I look towards raising a family, having a healthy and sustainable environment is my number one priority. I won't blindly stay here in a community where these issues are brushed aside. You heard from young speakers 2 weeks ago that they will also look elsewhere due to the city's lack of commitment to sustainability. This is an issue that will cost the city and taxpayers and increase the already rampant brain drain that Iowa and Des Moines are experiencing. Number two, because to say this is a shrewd budget decision is laughable. This department costs an eighth of what it brought in grant money, with even more on the horizon. On top of that, having leadership in place to guide the city on conserving resources does save money in its own right. This cut was a drop in our budget shortfall, and the way in which it was executed speaks volumes to this council's true intent, which is to brush sustainability and climate under the rug. In the immortal words of Judge Judy, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. This decision has nothing to do with sound fiscal management. And number three, because there are bloated departments and salaries that can take this hit. All 17 million could probably come directly from the police department's bloated salaries and military riot gear, and I doubt anyone in the city would even notice. Sustainability is a hugely important issue. We've seen the costs in climate disasters, and they're just going to keep coming. You said they're going to continue to, have departments do this on their own. But when you make this decision, your first budget cut without any input, it kind of sends a message to the rest of the city how much you really care about sustainability. And I don't think anybody's going to follow that directly, knowing how you look at it. Thank you.
Andrew James. Andrew James.
Good evening, Council. My name is Andrew James, 3145 East Lake Drive. I am a local entrepreneur with my company focusing on ecological landscaping and restoration. My wife and I are anticipating the arrival of our first child this summer. As such, I stand before you deeply involved in the future of Des Moines. Recent decisions to dismantle the Office of Sustainability have raised concerns, but I believe this moment presents an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to a resilient and prosperous city. Des Moines is already experiencing the tangible effects of climate change. We are facing, even today, warmer temperatures, frequent and severe flooding, to name a few, summarily threatening our community's health and safety. The economic threats of challenges are significant. Flooding can damage property, infrastructure, leading to costly repairs and economic disruptions. Des Moines need only look to the devastation of Spencer, Iowa last June for the potential severe damages of unmitigated climate change events. By embracing sustainable practices led by the office, Des Moines can secure our residents, create jobs, and position itself as a leader in the Midwest. The office has led in many ways, but now has a blossoming urban ecological landscape market. We utilize insights and strategies, many of which the office has found and suggested, with targeted solutions for homeowners to sequester runoff, flooding mitigation, and pollinator habitat. As my wife and I prepare to welcome our child into this world, I am here to urge you all to consider the legacy we leave behind. We can choose to invest in this sustainable future, addressing climate change head on, or we could ignore it, leaving for future generations to bear the consequences. I implore Council to remember our most true Des Moines and Iowan principle of legacy and vote for their future by supporting the Office of Sustainability and reaffirm their support for our future. Thank you.
John Waters. John Waters.
My name is John Waters, and I live in Ward 1. The climate crisis is real. It is happening now, and its consequences will be catastrophic. And the longer we delay action, the worse it'll be. Delivering this message is not fun or easy, but we cannot ignore reality. All of this can be discouraging and frankly overwhelming. But where there is action, there is hope. The Council's approval of the Adapt Climate Action Plan encouraged and inspired me. I was also pleased to learn that our city recently applied for a $250,000 grant for its sustainability efforts. Thank you for those actions. Still, no plan can succeed without perseverance in the face of adversity. Unfortunately, over the past couple weeks, the city seems to have lost the will to follow through on its commitments, laying off the very staff members it hired to implement the plan. Some have blamed budget cuts, but the laid-off workers had the potential to generate grants far exceeding their salaries. It is also claimed that other city staff can take up the slack. But I doubt the city would have created the sustainability office and hired the employees in the first place if they were not needed to carry out the plan. I have been told there will be 2 budget hearings in February, and the mayor has confirmed that the public can attend and express their continued support for the sustainability office. We need hope for the future. Please reinstate full-time staff to assure our city vigorously pursues all available funding sources and fully implements the ADAPT plan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Susan Houtz? Susan, is it Houtz? Is Susan here? I know Bill spoke before. John McManus, I think he was on the Grand Avenue. Holly spoke. Amy McCrell spoke. Lori Wolf? Okay, you're back. Okay, on this one.
I'm back.
Okay.
Thank you. I stand here to express my disappointment in the vote that you have taken this evening regarding the rezoning of the 5702 Grand Avenue. This is a classic case of spot rezoning. Your nod to rezoning of this property violates 5 city and state zoning codes that were described earlier this evening, plus disregards the 2019 DMS plan. This action will destroy this particular section of the Westwood neighborhood by removing the trees that will contribute to light and sound pollution, disruption of the natural water runoff, and over time reduce the desirability of living in this area, which will in turn lower the property values of the adjacent properties, resulting in the lowering of the city's tax base. As this project goes back to staff for further review, I encourage you to reconsider your decision. As neighbors, we had hoped that 650-plus signatures on the petition opposing this project would carry some weight with you as our elected officials. Please know that come the next election, we will be supporting candidates who will support our concerns. We are educated, we are active, we have time and resources, we have voices. To paraphrase the Japanese Admiral Yamamoto, what you have done here tonight is awaken a sleeping giant.
Is it Heather Cole? I think she was Sarah. Yeah, I guess. Oh, the list is up there. You got it.
If I have a document, I put it here.
Yeah, you can put it.
Okay. Not quite ready for that yet, but good evening. My name is Sarah Green. I am a young professional native to the Des Moines Metro. I left Des Moines for college and spent 4 years between Des Moines and abroad. I decided to put roots in Des Moines with my husband because we believe the city's values aligned with ours. We were proud of Des Moines' commitment to sustainability, focus on education, and cultural diversity. The elimination of the sustainability office makes us question whether or not our family is still in alignment with this city. Professionally, I'm the executive director of the Iowa Environmental Council, the state's largest environmental coalition. Our office is headquartered downtown, and IEC was involved with the creation of the ADAPT DSM plan. Climate and sustainability at the local level is critical to making our city an attractive place to live, work, and raise a family. The investments already secured by the office make Des Moines safer, cleaner, and healthier. While representing only 0.03% of the total city budget, the office has assisted in attracting nearly $4 million in grant funds for vital community investments. This isn't just IEC talking. I'll be submitting this letter signed by local Des Moines businesses to the council by January 31st. Our residents and businesses all believe in this office and the work being done to focus on climate resilience. I'm sure this council is also aware of the $18 million grant that was submitted on behalf of the City of Des Moines and IEC. This grant is now in jeopardy when it should be helping lower energy bills, assist in lead service line removal, and expand transportation options through the Complete Streets program. I'm also sure that this council is aware of the $250,000 in ICLEI funding that the city should be applying for due February 5th. I understand there are budget cuts and the city must complete these due to external factors. But I believe the elimination of this office was done so in a way that has left residents believing sustainability is not a priority to this council. I've enjoyed meeting a few of you the last week, and I believe you do have a vested interest in sustainability, but now is the time to take action. I'd like to request two things: the city to identify someone to apply for the ICLEI funding, and for the city to share with residents how they intend on holding true to their commitment to sustainability throughout each department. The elimination of the Office of Sustainability without a plan shared will continue to cause the public to question this council's priority. On behalf of IEC, we're eager to remain in conversation with you as you navigate our city's budget, and we believe you can do so in ways that preserve the priorities that our residents and businesses count on each of you to uphold. Sustainability and climate resilience is our shared work. Please keep our progress moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Cody Smith.
Good, I read the list right. My name's Cody Smith. I live at 225 East Center Street here in the 3rd Ward. Professionally, I serve as Sarah's colleague as the Director of Climate Initiatives at the Iowa Environmental Council. At IEC, I lead a team focused on helping Iowans and the communities that they call home adapt to the threat that is climate change. In our work all across the state, we partner with local governments to identify climate change risks and vulnerabilities, reduce pollution in a variety of neighborhoods, but especially those that have the least amount of resources and financial capacity to respond to growing threats from climate change, like extreme heat, devastating floods, intense droughts, and stronger storms, more of which we're seeing every year here in the city of Des Moines. And if there's one thing I've learned from the years I've been doing this work, it's that other cities and towns, whether they're big or small, look to the city of Des Moines for leadership, because we have a vacuum of that in our state on both sustainability and climate action. From partnering with our watershed management authorities to reduce flooding and improve water quality, to investing in our tree canopy to reduce the impact of extreme heat in our communities, we set an example for the rest of the state, and we should be proud of that example. I've personally worked with the Sustainability Office staff to help secure funding and assist them as they seek out other funding, including the project that my colleague just mentioned. Though we know that that program can be uncertain, the work that we did together as a partnership with the city was something I'm very proud of. That work would reduce energy bills for the most low-income neighborhoods in our city, remove potentially toxic lead service lines from delivering water to homes, expand transportation options, including expanding bike lanes, investing in covered bus stops, investing in natural infrastructure and stormwater best management practices, even promoting workforce development opportunities while soliciting public engagement in all of these efforts and a whole lot more. From supporting affordable housing, improving stormwater management, each of these efforts came from a different department's plan, whether it's Move DSM or Invest DSM or even guided by Adapt DSM. But they were led by the Office of Sustainability staff, which are two great people that I had the chance to work with. I really feel that closing this office leaves much of that work facing an uncertain future. And I say that as a close partner and as close supporter of the city's efforts to implement Adapt DSM and fight climate change. We truly don't necessarily know at this point who our partners in the City of Des Moines government are in sustainability at this point, regardless of whether that's being reassigned. Of course, we work with other divisions, but we haven't been made aware, even as a close partner, who those folks might be. We all recognize at the same time that the impending budget shortfall was not caused by any of your efforts or fiscal mismanagement. I truly regret that the legislature has put you in this position, and we will be telling them that as well. However, as it's required of us at times, leadership among our peers is sometimes about doing the things that no one else wants to do, or in this case, fails to do. Thank you.
Jim Snyder,
Jim was part of the other.
he was on the other one.
Yes.
Allie Raines.
Hello, I am Allie Raines. I currently live in Ward 1. I am a sophomore at Drake University studying environmental science and graphic design with a minor in magazine and brand media. I hope to pair these together to help illustrate environmental topics in the future. Just last Wednesday, my stepmom had said that she had read to the kids at her school about Arctic animals. One of my family members asked how many, if there were any left, to teach about. Arctic animals are becoming a fantasy in children's books. Without local guidance from an Office of Sustainability, Clean Water, Public Transportation, safe bike paths and safe sidewalks are now also under threat of becoming an illustration on a page that kids won't understand in Des Moines. Everyone deserves to live with the benefits of sustainability. It is not right to live questioning if those benefits are just a fantasy element in a book. Thank you.
I think William Ludwig was there for the other one, so we'll go to Patricia Prajada. Okay. Bradley, Giselle.
Good evening. My name is Bradley Gazelle. I'm a business manager of the Labor's Local 177 here in Des Moines, Iowa. Our address is 3400 East Euclid, Ward number 2. Our members represent over 1,200 hardworking men and women who live in the Des Moines area. Members of Local 177 construct and maintain our community's infrastructure, from highways, sewers, pipelines, demolition, concrete, and our city skyline. They work for some of the largest contractors in the state of Iowa. Many headquarters are right here in Des Moines. I'm here because the city of Des Moines can do much better than making sure that the city-supported projects protect workers, promote good jobs, and demonstrate responsible use of taxpayer dollars. Today, I want to express our disappointment that the city of Des Moines did not include meaningful safety and labor stipulations into development agreement for the 515 Walnut Skyscraper project. At point, the public was shut out at the last discussions of the city council members had such development agreements. Illegal practices are rampant in the construction industry. We've seen what happens when there is a race to the bottom. It's terrible. Over the coming months, more building trades members will speak at the city council meetings. We are looking to improve our project's outcomes, protect workers and the public, and that invest in our community. We hope you will not only listen, but act. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam Callahan.
Hello, my name is Adam Callahan. I live in Ward 3, and I'm here today with Des Moines People's Town Hall. The Sustainability Office was tasked with doing work regarding goals set by a unanimous City Council vote all the way back in January of 2021. These goals were further addressed by a climate action plan approved in December of 2023, which was again a unanimous vote. In December 2023, shortly after, the City Council made a surprise move to name the $30 million new city building after Mayor County, honoring his legacy in part as a climate mayor. And then the new mayor took over, and we heard a lot less about the climate suddenly. In January 2025, we learned that, that was this month, learned that the city manager, without any public notice or vote, got rid of the sustainability office. Among other things, is estimated to save, I believe, less than $300,000, and it puts grants worth over $2 million at risk. It's interesting that the city is willing to name a building after a former mayor and then completely throw his legacy in the trash immediately after. We've heard excuses from the city manager about why this happened, but none of them really add up. If the city manager had a clear, rational financial reason for doing this, he would easily be able to show hard numbers. His plan statement didn't include numbers at all, and the simplest explanation to me that leaves is that this was some sort of political move spearheaded behind closed doors. I hope the public eventually finds out why this happened. This would explain why this was done suddenly right before budget presentations, so that the council could not even review the work the city had done over the year or the work they had planned, which we've had to learn about through the news at best. At our last meeting, the mayor insulted members of the public who were outraged by this move, claiming they were just reacting to an article. Outraged residents were not reacting to an article. We were reacting to the dismantling of a popular city department that had unanimous support from city council members. We had to learn about that through a news article because the city refuses to be transparent, which is the city's fault, not the public's fault. The city council should take a hard look at the city manager here. I've been attending these meetings since 2020, and this pattern of behavior has risen to a new level since the former mayor left. It's a complete abuse of power for the city manager to take continuous secret actions against the majority of council. City manager should either resign, again, in case you aren't aware, he resigned last year, or he should be fired. He's one of the few employees the city council manages. I believe there's only 3, and it falls back on all of you on city council when he goes against his duty to the city. He's done similar things, such as the secret DART study commissioned without council approval in April of 2024, the selection of a new Des Moines police chief that went against his own commission's recommendations in October of 2024, the push for a ban on homelessness before council was notified in July of 2024, the planning of a new police building, also without any sort of public vote, that has been ongoing for longer, and a series of new development agreements that multiple city council members were left out of, such as the 515 Walnut project, but there have been others ongoing. The city manager today released a series of recommendations. Interestingly, the recommendations didn't even include the word sustainability, even after we all know that that was cut. Still, though, while it wasn't mentioned in the statement, the bottom of the website still claims Des Moines is a leader in sustainability.
Dvorak.
Hi, my name is Sydney Dvorak from Ward 1, and I'm a senior at Drake University studying biochemistry, cell molecular biology, and law, politics, and society with minors in biology, chemistry, and sociology. And I'm going to speak about the reinstatement of the Office of Sustainability. When I came to Des Moines, I only expected to be here for 4 years, the time it would take to graduate from Drake. I came to Iowa expecting to leave because I didn't see Iowa as a place where I could put down roots. Over the past 4 years, I've built an incredible community at Drake University, and many times I've thought about what it would look like to stay here. Being in Iowa is the reason I discovered one of my main passions, water quality and its connection to soil and agriculture. But the reason I discovered this interest isn't because I saw all of the great work being done in this area, it's because I saw a lack of work being done. Iowa has the second highest rate of new cancers in the country. That statistic pushed me to look into Iowa's water quality, which led me to fertilizer runoff from the booming agricultural sector in the state. I became interested in these topics because I'm afraid of the water I'm drinking. I've led the compost program at Drake University for the past 2 years, a program that would have died if I didn't take it over. I've been able to expand the program to off-campus housing and maintain a presence on campus because of my commitment to it. I've also been the president of the Drake Outdoor Leadership Club for the past 2 years. Our organization has a goal of connecting people with the outdoors, from kayaking Big Creek Lake to bonfires at Walnut Wood State Park. I've brought hundreds of Drake students outside into the Des Moines community. This organization wouldn't have continued without me as a leader. Action requires leadership and requires passion. You cannot expect programs to continue and change to happen without dedicating resources to those issues. And you can't honestly believe that the sustainability initiatives will continue anywhere near the same level, if at all, without leadership directed at that area, leadership that came from the Office of Sustainability. I don't want to live somewhere that doesn't value protecting outdoor spaces, doesn't value creating easy-to-access sustainable transportation, and doesn't value clean water and land. I'm not being pushed away from Des Moines by a lack of action, but pushed away from Des Moines because of an attack on action that has already been happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, just real quick, maybe just, I've had an opportunity to sit down with Sarah earlier this week. I heard a lot of things that are just completely incorrect, that are not true. I'm wondering if we can direct the city manager to possibly sit down with Sarah and Cody or someone from their office to explain how we're going to move forward, adapt TSM. Possibly we can partner with their organization of, applying for some of these grants and doing some of those things, and reassure them that this isn't dying just because 2 people are gone from our organization. Our organization was moving forward with this initiative by the department heads, being overseen just by Jeremy and the other staff member. So there's a lot of things that are being said that are just not true at all. So with that being said, I will move 56A through T to receive and file, and just direct you to have maybe somebody have a discussion.
Okay.
Well, I would,
Thank you.
Since we're having discussion on this,
There's not really any discussion. I just asked him to meet with them.
So did you want to direct the manager to do something else? I mean, at this point, or what is, okay, go ahead.
yeah, I think we would be, and I don't know the current status of either Jeremy or Madeline, if they've accepted other positions or not. But I think our discussion that Joe is talking about would be much better informed because there was no transition plan from either of those staff. They didn't have time. There was no discussion about what they would recommend for how we ensure the full scope of the work would continue. And I will say I don't doubt that some of the work at the departments will continue. Absolutely. But I do think the concern that residents have been raising, that we cannot provide the same level of focus, that we will not do the same breadth of work, I think that is absolutely true. And I've not seen anything from a plan to even just the annual report that I know they were in the midst of and that we left unfinished. I haven't seen those things. And my hope is that we would spend some time and allow the debate to play out over whether or not we fund the department in next year's budget, but allow these folks to do some work so that if that function truly goes away, that we are in the best position possible to continue their work and to build upon it. And I don't think that the actions that have been taken to date allow for that.
Okay. I have asked that we have the manager come forward with a plan as to what that would look like. I know grants are being applied for. They were being funneled anyway through some of the other employees to write the grant, so information was. But I have asked for a detailed outline as to what that would look like, because this is our proposed budget. This is what we will have more discussion on. And so I will turn it over.
All of our departments. And so building bridges with some of the private sector nonprofits, I had a chance to meet with Sarah as well, and I think there's real opportunities there, and I'd like to rely on the city manager to make that happen.
Okay, with that, been moved and seconded to
Yeah, we just have a motion
accept,
to receive and file
receive and
all
file.
the comments. You got to vote.
No.
7 yes.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Your Honor.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.